So welcome Nicolas. Nicolas Bourquin is the founder and creative director of OnLab. So it's going to be the Swiss design studio in Berlin. Is that correct? So it will be interesting to see how this is such a thing as a Swiss and German design culture exists, how they do these things together. Just 1 second to respond. OnLab is a graphic design studio that focuses mainly on identity and especially editorial projects. And what they do is not only designing, but often they are also curating of the content of the books. You might have seen data flow, which is one of the recently they also curated, not only designed. So I have been also responsible for the redesign of Bonus, the magazine, and section magazine for about the current design, but the one that was done 3 years ago, is that correct? Okay, more or less. So it would be interesting to see how their approach to editorial design, how they subject wrote a few books that you'll have the chance to see under the lecture. And also after the presentation, there will be time for questions from your side, so you're invited to.
If you have questions during the presentation, please don't hesitate to ask questions.
That's good to know. And also, what I heard from Nicolas is going to be kind of non-linear presentation, so the subjects will be chosen on the way. Let's say you have a choice of project to present. So it's now time to give the microphone again. You also already that one. Okay, and thank you for coming. And
thank you very much for the invitation. I'm starting to show, to present to you where I'm coming from. But as you spoke before, I'm Swiss. I was born in Switzerland, in the French part of Switzerland. That's why I have a small accent. And I was born in a region, in the watch industry region. What you can see here is national sport. It is called bonus. It's a Swiss term, and it's a strange sport that is played just in a few villages in Switzerland. And the village where I'm coming from, this is a small city where I'm coming from. This is the last city with team in the French part of Switzerland. And they are playing that 3 times a week. And just to explain you a little bit of the thing is that actually the people in the field are waiting for the ball, which is here. And it's quite similar to baseball. And the guy here, it's a mix between hockey, baseball, and pizza, cooking or something that they play. But the guy here is actually trying to shoot this ball as far as possible. And he gets points, of course, if he can shot really, really far away. And as you can see, this is a very, very precise sport. Have to concentrate. And we shot the ball really far away. And actually, the guys here should stop the ball. In this shot, the ball falls out of the back. So this is actually one part. One play can take the whole afternoon. And during this time, here hidden on the side, everybody's drinking white wine. So this is where I'm coming from. As you can see, there is no mountains like you know from Switzerland, but still, this region, as you can see here, I start here with one project we did a few years ago. I will just present it shortly because it was a long project and it's not chronologically. This project actually we started in 2004, I think, and we ended in 2008, more or less. It was a very, very long project. This is where I'm coming from, and France, from the French border. And this city is between Basel and Geneva, exactly in the middle of the watch industry region. And just a brief history is that in this region, the farmers moved to the countryside, and during the winter, because there was a lot of snow during the winter, they had to work because they couldn't go on the field. So the watch industry delivered the small pieces of watches, and the farmers used to build the watches during the winter. So this tradition came along the years in this region. And in the 80s, as I was still a teenager, in the 80s the economy, the watch industry and the economy broke down because one big reason was the concurrency of the Japanese watch industry. And the economy breaks down, and on the other side, of course, a lot of people left this small city. And the city shrinks within 10 years, 1/3 of the inhabitants, or around 1/3 of the inhabitants left the city. So they had, of course, huge problems because they lose a lot of taxes, but also they had a huge problem because the city were losing its identity, but also we became kind of city where everybody is passing by but nobody is stopping. So they asked me in 2003 or something, they asked me to redesign a brochure, or to make a brochure for an advertising brochure for the city. And I said, it doesn't make any sense to make an advertising brochure for the city. You have firstly to change a lot of things before making an advertising brochure. And then they decided, based on that feedback, they decided to create a commission to make an investigation about what must be changed so that people are coming back to the city and new inhabitants are moving in. And this process takes 1 year, and after this they decided to commission us to make the redesign of the city. So this is the background of the story. But this is a very long story with a lot of stories behind that, but I will do it shortly. Make the redesign for the visual language of the city. It's something that actually a graphic designer had once in his life probably, and this is, I hope not, for me, still, this was really something not ordinary, and it was of course a huge task to do, and the first thing we decided is for them to be able to communicate was to create a font. And this font should, because for us, the idea was that through the fonts which we design or redesign in this case, the administration could already start to communicate just with the font as a new communication tool. And as you can see, we take inspiration from this typical industrial typography language, and we take the loops from a Swiss type designer, which is also a font which is adapted from an English cut, and we take the loops and we transform the loops to create the Chamnon loops, which, as you can see, this is the loops, and we made some changes to try to bring this industrial and take it from the watch industry, the small details into the typography. One other thing, I'm going quick, otherwise I will spend too much time, but another thing was the emblem of the city. The very interesting thing is that in Switzerland it's the same in Germany. I heard that because we were invited to redesign the logo of the city of Stuttgart. It's a design competition. We don't know if we won we will get an answer Friday if we won the competition or not, but because of this project we were invited to make the redesign of the logo of the city of Stuttgart, and it's exactly the same principle that actually the emblem of the city is the visual sign, but what is saved officially is a text describing the sign. And because the text is existing, it's very good for designers and for the future, is that you can adapt the sign through the different years. So what we did, it was very important that this emblem was everywhere in the city. So we decided actually based on the font to redesign firstly the emblem of the city. So we take the font we redesign and take the basic elements to redesign the emblem to create then here this is the it's not a heart, it's a linden leaf to recreate the three linden leaves. So from the typography we adapted, as you can see, the linden leaf to recreate the emblem of the city. So it was firstly we had the font and then the emblem of the city redesigned. But based on that, we did, of course, an outline version for several applications. And based on that, we actually wanted to use the potential of identification which is hidden into the sign to create a new logo for the city. So we take these three linden leaves, we turn the middle one and change a little bit the form of the middle one to create the TR for the name of the city, Hamon. And with that, we had a single logo which is working on itself, as well as logo types. And this was the basic elements we create for the city. Another thing which was very important, because Hamon got not any touristic attractions, we had to develop a whole visual language. So that's why we decided to, because there is nothing to portray except, of course, the inhabitants. So we decided to portray the inhabitants of the city to use them in the communication. And of course, nobody wanted to be portrayed, so we started with the employees of the municipality, and this was, of course, this was an employee of the city, but here this is the mayor of the city, and we staged her on a stage because she was playing theater during her free time, and she accepted also to pose and to be portrayed for the. And then after that, we approached the industry. We portrayed some people from the industry, or here different people, so that we managed to create a whole database of the inhabitants of the city. And these inhabitants were taken during their jobs or during their normal daily life. Another thing what we've done is take from the cultural industry, or the culture of the industry of the city, take some elements directly from the watches. We inspired from that. We created gravure, I don't know gravure en français, stitching, engraving, exactly. And this engraving is made so that you can use it as a wallpaper, as you can see here on the website. And here actually you have all the elements grouped together. So this was a radical, and as you can see also the visual language was black and white, and it was a radical transformation also of the former visual language that was existing before. And the radical use of the black and white imagery was also to be able to make a difference with the other cities of the same region, communicating also with brochures and on the website, so that it was very clear that Hamon had always this really straight and really powerful imagery with black and white. The images were photographed by Joël Tamati, which is a Swiss photographer and artist. We worked with him also in the past. I can tell you more after that. So during the years, we adapt this system to the whole system of the city. As you can see, and it's still being implemented now in the city in different. This is one publication we've made, several publications we've made for steps of presentation of the concept. Then I'm coming back now. I'm coming back now into the time, and as I was telling before, I was studying in Switzerland. I studied in Biel, or Biel in French. It's a small city, also part of this watch industry region. And I moved to Zurich just after my diploma, and then I created my own studio, as you can see. I created my own studio. I was just after my diploma. I was hired by Meta Design. It's a huge design company from originally from Berlin, created and founded by Erich Wickermann. And in 2000, they created their new office in Zurich, and they were searching for designers as well as for clients. So I was hired by Meta Design. I was an employee, fixed position, and I worked for Meta Design during 9 months as an employee, and it was very good for me because we made a lot of competition to win some new clients in Switzerland. And through that, I learned a lot also about corporate design. I even had the opportunity to work with Erich Wickermann once as well. But what was very, very good also is that I had the opportunity, because it was a German company, I had the opportunity to get to know people from Berlin that invites me after a few years, after a few months, who invites me to make a competition, design competition in Berlin. As soon as I was, so in Zurich, as soon as I was independent, they invite me in Berlin to make a competition for the Museum Island, which is a complex of 5 different museums in the middle of the city in Berlin, which was saved by the UNESCO as a World Cultural Heritage. And they needed, in 2001, they made a competition for the whole communication of the island, as well as for the signage system. So I was hired in Berlin then for 3 months, and I had the opportunity there in Berlin to work for this competition. I was paid 3 months long, and the good thing is that we won the competition. We didn't even expect to win the competition because we were young and not experienced at all, but we won the competition, so that it allows me then to stay in Berlin and to develop my own project. I will show you some. I have some, but I don't have any. Or maybe two. Yeah, some picture of a studio in Berlin. This is me. This is Nicolas. She's our project director. She is in charge of the management of the project. As I told you, I started in Berlin alone with this project of the Museum Island. And the good thing was that I could work just 3 days a week because as we won the competition, and after that we had to adapt the competition results to the reality. Because of course, if you're doing a competition, it's always almost a utopia that you have to adapt to the reality. And the good thing is that I worked 3 days a week as an art director for the Museum Island, and 2 days a week I had the opportunity to work for myself. I will come back to that. Just a few pictures that you have an idea how we were working. This is our office. I forgot to present this guy here. This is Tito. He's coming also from the same region where I'm coming from. He started as a trainee, and he was so good that I decided that he had to stay, and I'm not just decided if he wanted also to stay, so we decided that I can hire him as a junior designer, and then he gets the designer, and then now he's my art director, as you can see, giving advice. And so we have a studio that, as you can see, we can use it as a photo studio as well. But also we are, Thibaut and myself, we are teaching in different universities in Germany and Switzerland. So we can also have our students at our space organizing parties, as you can see, but also working with our team in our space. we have the chance that we have these beautiful terraces where we can also have a little bit of fun. And then now I told you before that I had 2 days free during the week, which means actually 4 days because I take 2 days during the week and the 2 days at the weekend to make my own project. And because I was in Berlin, I decided that I had to search for clients in Berlin, which I was a little bit naive and a little bit also opportunist maybe. Then I went to DESIGNTALKS, which is one very big graphic design publishing house in Berlin. And I asked them if I could maybe design a book for them. And firstly they laughed and they say, come on guy, there's like 10 of people coming and then wanting to design books, 10 people a week coming and wanting to design books. But I had the opportunity to work on this project. At the beginning, they told me that they wanted to make a logo book, but the concept was still to be defined. And my first task, it was a kind of small competition. They asked me, can you make us a proposal? How do you want to deal with the topic of logos? Because the publishing house wanted to make a series of logo books. There is a lot of other logo books on the market which are very academic. It teaches you what is a good logo, what is a bad logo, what you should do, what you shouldn't do. That the logo should work on a website, on your mobile phone, as well as on the fax machine and a copy machine. But they forgot also, all this book, they forgot to show and to display the whole panorama and range of logos. And the idea was with the first book and the second, because the first book was a huge commercial success, I was then commissioned to make the second one and the third one. And the idea in this book was to show all kinds of logos also that are just designed for one night or one event. Logos that are not working in black and white, but just in color. Logos in motion. Logos that, what I was very interested in too is the logos which were not taken by the client. Because often the logos which are not taken by the clients are even better than the one chosen by the client. So this was the whole range of logos I wanted to present this. And I started the first book with Nicolas and as an editor as well. And then for the second book, I was the editor of the book. The thing is that in doing this book, I had the opportunity to make other ones for the same publishing house. Altitude, contemporary Swiss graphic design, also because I'm, of course, coming from Switzerland. ARS. The interesting thing is that in the first book I made for the publishing house, I was the graphic designer, of course, but also the editor of the book. And there is a huge gap between doing the design for a book and choosing the content, even writing the texts, or even working together with journalists for the text. And because you have the two roles at the same time, you're the bad guy and the good guy at the same time, the guy which is not happy about the design, and the designer who is not happy about the text. So it was very interesting to have these two roles. And it was very early also in my career, so that I had really quick and early to deal with the fact that graphic design is also a method to be able to communicate stories, and also that the graphic designer had also the opportunity and ability to choose content and to edit content as well. Just for you to know that such books seems to be a great job to make this kind of books, but for a book like those logos, actually it's 6 months of work. You have 4 months of research, 1 month of selection, and then 3 weeks of design and 1 week of finishing. So the design part is really small in regards to the rest of the process. Through that, the publisher proposed us to make a book about data visualization. It was in 2008, I think. us or nine, and it was a huge success. So we worked similar to the other book project, but we were of course editors as well as designers. And here I have to switch because I wanted just a minute to present this book. Because the first book was a huge success commercially, they commissioned us a few months after to make the second book about this topic and try to refine a little bit the concept. And it was a surprise that this book was a success because we were thinking data visualization is interesting for a very, very tiny group of people, a very, very small group of people, but actually we figure out that a lot of people are interested into visualization of information. It is from the journalists till the architects and designers, of course, and storytellers, artists. The thing is that the book were very criticized from the data visualization freaks and data visualization professionals because we did this book on the purpose, and we did this book as graphic designer. For us, it was very important to have a very specific perspective on the topic. And we decided not to make an academical book. This was not our purpose. Our purpose was to try to look at the data visualization from the graphic designer side. Because the graphic designer is always between the journalist and the printer, and in between you have to be able to visualize something in a really short time, in the main of the time also in a short budget. And so we decided to categorize also this book into these several topics, and we create these names like data blocks. It is about data visualization formally based on blocks, as you can see. Data circles. And it was very criticized also by the professionals because, of course, a lot of data visualization we have here this is, for example, from Lorin Foy. It's a German artist, and you can't really understand what it is about, but it's data visualized as an art piece. And for us, it is also part of the data visualization topic. So we had different projects from different countries, different designers, dealing with different processing, different here. For example, it's a very nice poster. It's about teeth brush. You brush your teeth in the morning. So it's time scale and movement visualization. And of course, all the mappings in any kind of way. Also, the analogy between here, for example, you have so much sugar means so much banana, or you can compare the sugar part in the Coca-Cola. So we were interested in all kinds of visualization, also in product design and in the art. Here, for example, is the Dax curves represented as a mountain landscape. It's of course not real. It's everything. It's a 3D visualization, but it's a work of art from a photographer which deals also with data visualization. I will go back again into the time. As we were doing Los Logos, we were working, so I was starting alone in Berlin, and one very important thing in Berlin, or one important thing in the story of OnLab is that it's not only my story, it's the story of a lot of studios also in Berlin, but one of the main important things is that in Berlin I had the opportunity to rent a space to work for really low money and make one or two commercial projects per month, and the rest of the time make my own project. Because the rent were very low, I had the opportunity to have a trainee working for me, have 2 tables and a nice space, which were absolutely impossible to do the same in during Amsterdam, London, Milano. It's really something which also was part of the development of our studio. So the thing is that I started alone with a training, and then I had too much work, and I had to hire the first freelancer, the second freelancer, and then I had too much administration stuff, and I had to hire a project manager. I had a lot of problems with the taxes, because I had no time to take care about the taxes, so I had then to search for somebody who cares about my taxes, because I was losing a lot of money regarding that. And slowly it grows in a way that now we are around 7 people working together. We are always shrinking and growing between 5 and 9 people. It depends on the size of the project. But one thing which was also very important in the development of our studio, and it was an accident, or it was an initiative that we created. As we were doing those logos, working for different publishing houses as well. America and the Bush government decided to start the second Iraqi war, and we were as citizens demonstrating on the streets, going on the street demonstrating, and as we were on the street with my colleagues, we figured out that a lot of people demonstrate against the war, against the Bush government, against America, but really less people demonstrate for freedom or for something constructive. So we get back to the office, and we were coming back to the office and thinking why it is easier to protest or demonstrate against something than to demonstrate or protest for something. And we work on this really strange situation, and we figure out that actually peace, for example, is a super complex topic. You have to be able to make compromises. You have to speak with your partners. You have to be able to understand your partners. You have to communicate. It's something really, really complicated. It's also something complicated to demonstrate or to put in a really short sentences. So we decided, because we were working also as designers, but also as editors for different publishers, we decided to, because we made this research, we decided to create a sketch of a possible book. What we wanted to actually propose a book about freedom, about peace, to several publishing houses, and try to have a perspective as a visual artist, graphic designer, on the topic of peace. And we collect philosophical text, theoretical text, academical text, but also visual content. And this book was refused by all the publishers, because the publisher told us we can't publish a book dealing about peace at that time now, because 30% of our buyers or clients or readers are in the States or in Asia. And for example, Japan was involved also in the war, in the coalition with the Russian government. So the publishing house didn't want to publish it. So we had a lot of refusal, and we had the feeling we have to publish it now, because now it's very important to do it. So we decided to publish it on our own, and because we had no money, we had to reduce the amount of content, and also to reduce the amount of pages, to reduce the amount of colors. So we decided to print the whole thing on 3 sheets of paper and in 2 colors. And we collect the visual content as well as the texts and essays from journalists and academic persons that we contact, and we decided to publish it as a newspaper. It was also the time where all the newspapers around Europe were reducing the size. Every newspaper wanted to try to become in tabloid format, also because of the free press distributing on the public transport. They wanted also to gain more lectureship, and we were also trying to make a statement and saying that with a big format you can also promote a really strong visual language. And we created this first issue, which was called Peace, etc. And we had also, of course, course, a great opportunity because in doing these kind of books, as a designer, as author, or as somebody which takes a position, it's good to make something, but it doesn't make any sense to make something and you can't sell it. It doesn't make any sense to do something to keep it in your office. So it was very important also to be able to distribute it. And what we did is, because we were doing these books for several publishing houses, we find quite quickly a distribution house for this format. And because of the success of this one, we had the opportunity, so I can go through here, I showed you already, but we had, of course, a very strong visual language as well as also longer text. We worked with several artists and asked them their positions about the topics. Because of the success of the first one, we decided a few months after to produce the second one and to start the series, which were called Etc. And it was because of it was at the time where Europe was expanding to the east countries, with also the new border, which were moving to the east. So we decided to make an issue about the new Europe, which will be created, and we called the newspaper Genoa, etc. Because Genoa, I don't know in Italian, Genoa was at this time a cultural capital of Europe. And we started this issue also because we wanted to make the parallel between the G8 story, what's happening in Genoa, and to the cultural capital of Europe, to the European concept. So we had here, this is a photo series from Armenika, for example. We had, as you can see here, already data visualization in our issues. Because we solved this issue very well, we had the opportunity to make one sheet in color. So we decided also to, as you can see here, we decided to publish this amazing story about the new border in the east part of Europe, also in color. And because of this, what's funny story also is the illustrator is, so the cover was made by ourselves here, and then we had less time to make a cover here because we were dealing with the content. So that I asked a friend of mine, Nicolas from Zurich, to make the cover, and he made this really, really nice cover, amazing illustrations. But the problem is that he forgot that actually we had the concept that we had the front and the back. And I asked him that, like, hey, thank you, Gregory, but we need the back as well. So we had to design the back. It was very nice. But based on these two, then we get our first commission, and we were not expecting at all getting a commission, but we were commissioned to make a next issue, which was for an art exhibition in Dortmund about Swiss art. And they asked us, not because I'm Swiss, but because they saw the two first, this is Swiss, etc. They saw the two first issue, and they asked us to produce one issue, not as a catalog, but as a proper piece of exhibition. So it was great that we had the opportunity to get this issue paid from them. The nice thing also in doing that, because we've made Swiss, etc., this magazine was distributed in Switzerland, and because of that, the director of the Swiss Photo Festival discovered that and got in touch with us and commissioned us to make the magazine for the Swiss Photo Festival. And it was then, for us as a design studio, our first commission as through these initiatives, and we were actually figuring out that in doing our own initiative project, we were also creating, not just expanding our portfolio, but also creating products that takes position and also tries to challenge also the readers. Because of that, we because also we work with a lot of publishing houses, and we were super frustrated because publishing houses are killing your ideas always, and if you want to do something special in a book, you never have the budget for that. So that we decided to create our first book, and we did it with Joël de Parmentier, which is the same photographer which photographed scenes in Tramelan, the people in Tramelan, and Joël de Parmentier is a Swiss photographer, an artist which is working for several magazines like Wallpaper or Vogue, and he wanted to produce also a photography book, and we wanted also to have the opportunity to create our own photo book, which is not the same kind of books, because we were really frustrated regarding the photography books on the market. If you look at the photography books, 90 or 95% of the photo books are always exactly the same. You have an introduction from a very well-known curator or very well-known gallerist, and then 100 pages of pictures, full spread, and at the end the captions, and the biography, of course, and that's it. And all the books are constructed and built on exactly the same way. So we wanted to have the opportunity to make something else and to mix text and pictures together. We made a huge interview of Joël, and we picked out some words out of the interview and gave to 8 different authors. As you can see here, later. There. We picked some words out of the interview, like afternoon, and we gave these words to 8 different authors, and without any briefing. And they had to write something about this topic. And we did it on purpose because we knew, of course, that this author is specialized in this topic, and then we mixed at the end. We mixed the stories, the visual stories, the pictures, and the texts alphabetically through the book, so that we could create some new contrasts and new stories in the book. And it was our first book. And then, in doing this book, we learned a lot also about distribution, being a publishing house, make a promotion of a product on the market, going to fairs, meeting people, trying to sell your product. We made different products, I can't speak about that, it's too long, but we are still keeping going with our publishing houses, making different products. But we're not just doing editorial or corporate design, we are also doing exhibition design, and this is an interesting exhibition, and I show you the product now because we discovered something last week which is very interesting. We did that in 2007 for the magazine Arch Plus, which is an architecture magazine in Germany. We made this exhibition in the context of the Documenta. It's an art exhibition in Germany. And actually, the goal of the exhibition was to display 40 years of the magazine in a space where, as you can see, we have a wall on the back, and the wall is at the same time the history of the magazine, but also the visualization of the content. Each line is related to one specific content, and you have the timeline at the same time. So we placed the different magazines in this timeline, and one of the goals was also that the journalists and editors of the magazine were working in the same space. So it looked like this. We had a really low budget. The idea was that the visitor of the exhibition can produce their own magazine. So you could go on the wall, take a look at the magazine, put your magazine together, copy it on a copy machine, and take it home with you, as you can see here. And the really interesting thing what happened now is that we discovered last week that the Graphic Design Museum in Holland made an exhibition about graphic design, And this is on top. This is the agency which did that, and we discovered that I don't know. It's probably an interesting case because it's a graphic design museum copying a design agency. As you can see here, I just showed a few pictures, but it's amazingly similar, and it's not just similar in terms of concept, but even they take almost the same color, the same ID. They just has more money than us. It's amazing. So now we contact them before yesterday and ask them what is happening with this. And you can see on the floor they even have these lights. And it's amazing. I was really first shocked, and then really I had to laugh because I was thinking, my God, we developed that with no money. Probably they made the agency which did that made a lot of money out of that. But this is also something which is very interesting. It's not the first time that happened to us, but it's something which is also really interesting because now we have to deal with the problem that somebody copied us. Maybe we have to have a lawyer to try to understand if we can get something out of it, and this is actually also something we have to deal with. This is another project we did with handpacking during the football World Cup in Germany in 2006. It was together with the Ministry of Political Education. It was about football and globalization. So we created this pirate fan shop container which were moving from city to city where the football cup were taking place. And within this container which were moving, we organized concerts, conferences, movie events at night, and it was also a shop where you could buy or you could at least see or buy this fashion which were made by 5 German designers about the topic we were dealing with. With the same architecture studio, they were commissioned to make the German pavilion in the Architecture Biennale in Venice in 2008, and we worked with them also about the design of the exhibition in Venice. I can't tell too much about the project because otherwise it would be too long, but it's also one of our. And this is something which is actually relating all the project is that we try as designer always to tell a story. If it's in a magazine, if it's in a book, or if it's in a corporate design, we always try to tell a story and to try to take the viewer, the lecturer, through the different content. This was the vernissage. And it's full not because I don't know, maybe because the exhibition was really interesting, but it was raining at the same time. Yes. Domus. Okay, I will go also quite quick through Domus, but Domus was also a huge project, and we were contacted by Flavio Albanese, which were at this time the director of Domus and chief editor of Domus, to redesign the magazine. And as you know, because you're Italian, but it's not the case for everybody, that Domus, it was created in 1928. And redesigning a magazine like Domus, it was for us a challenge also because we were a small studio, we were young. We had, of course, experience in book design, but in magazine we were not really experienced at all. We did this one and we did some few other ones, but a magazine like Domus was really the big thing. And all my friends designers just say, "You're crazy if you're doing it. You will lose your credibility. You will lose your studio because it's a huge work to do." And indeed, it was a lot of work to do, but it was a real challenge also for us to work not just on the magazine, but also on the history of architecture, the history of typography, the history of photography, the history of design. And it was for us also a project where we learn a lot. One of the first things that was very, very impressive is the archive of those. You have original drawings from Le Corbusier. You have this huge history of domus that gets through the huge history of domus. And because we were doing domus, we were also trying to understand how the story. I'm doing that pretty quick now because I'm jumping a lot of steps, but we had just 2 months to design domus, which were actually not possible to do, so we had to focus on some main topics. And one of the main topics that we decided also is the storytelling. And here, for example, we compare also in the several different architecture magazines how the same story of the same building at the same time is told in different magazines. So it was also for us very interesting to understand. Oh, this was our old office. You can see Thibaut was still very young. This is Sven Lehmann, which is also working at Gestalten Verlag. We worked together for the development of the concept of the magazine. We work on the storytelling, how a story is told, how an architect is understanding architecture, because an architect is reading architecture differently than a photographer, and differently than a journalist, and differently than a graphic designer, of course. So we had to learn how an architect is dealing with reading architecture. Because we had less time, we decided to focus on the storytelling, as I said. I will come back to that after, but we decided also to create, quite similar to the Tremblant project, try to create really strong and easy recognizable elements through the magazine, and we decided to design exclusive fonts for domus. As you can see, and this is how I tried also to show you how we're working, because okay, one is the night, as you can see, but on the other side, we tried everything what we're doing, we put on the wall. And for me, it's very important in the design process that during the process, if it takes like 2 or 3 months, that the first sketches we've made at the beginning of the project are still on the wall. Also, even if we are working 2 or 3 months on the project. And as you can see, we're still working very, very manually. We're drawing by hand, we are cutting and gluing the things, because one thing which is very important also in my opinion is that as soon as you print something and you cut something, you put together, you get a totally different view on the product as if you were working on the screen. So we redesigned this font, which is based on the Jill from 1928 as well. We redesigned the font so that it became a display font for the magazine. As I told you, also we worked on the photo story, which was amazing, also because if you have to tell a story about the building, Domus was sending a photographer in Japan to document a house in Japan. The photographer were taking 800 pictures of the building, sent to us all the pictures, and we had to choose the pictures. And in the magazine, at the end, you have 3 pictures. So the thing is, it's amazing that we have also to understand how to tell the story of how an architect is understanding the building. And we know now that an architect is not firstly looking at the picture, but looking at the drawing. This is also something I will tell you after that. But one thing we've made, and this is a major decision, was to be able to build the structure of the magazine. We decided, because also the founder of Domus, Giovanni, said that everything is architecture, from the school to the city. We decided to mix the content of the magazine. We decided to dissolve the chapter structure. They had architecture, interior design, design art, and we decided to mix all the content. And to be able to mix the content, it means one architecture story, one art story, one design, architecture, art, design, architecture. We wanted to mix the content within one issue to create one story within one issue. And to do that, we take our inspiration from the music. I can go in detail, but from the music notation system, we try also to separate the content in different sizes, different importance. So you have S, like small stories, large and extra large stories, that we put it together in, and we create a column system so that we could create also a rhythm within another spread, as well as within a few spreads, one after the other. As you can see here, with the color system, we had the opportunity to be able to create a dramaturgy, to create a rhythm. Back to the story then. This is Flavio Albanese. I must say, for me, it was one of the most impressive, not because Flavio has this studio 2 stairs down, but also because he was extremely professional. He trusted us in our decision, and he also regarding all the decision we made. As we were working on Domus, we spent 1 month here, almost 6 weeks here, to work with the team of Domus. He supported us also in the decision we've taken, also regarding the editors and the journalists. He also supported us into all the decision making, and it was for us a huge recognition also of our work. I have the layout. Okay, maybe he's coming. I don't know, but you know probably doesn't. But one of the stories was the cover story, because Flavio said, Flavio Albanese told us that for him, Domus is like a porn magazine for architects. And he wanted to create a powerful, he said, vigoroso, which means vigorous. Of course, in Italian you understand it better than me. But for him, it was vigoroso, which means it compared Domus to a horse. He said Domus is like a black horse. It's unpredictable. It's very vigorous. It's erotic, and it's something that you want to dominate in a way, and that's why also we work on the cover. We were commissioned to make the art direction for the cover, but we figure out that Domus is most of the time Domus is glued into a foil. And they use the foil before us just to print the barcode. And they print the foil in 2 colors, just for printing the barcode, which was for us amazingly expensive for actually just the barcode. And we say, hey, we have to print something on top. So we decided to print one picture, an additional picture on the foil, as you can see. So here in this case, we chose this picture for the first issue we've made. It was of course a metaphor with the horse. The horse is wearing a mask because it was just after the operation. The horse is wearing a mask because he's getting up from the operation. He's waking up, and it was exactly the same. We had also an operation with the horse, which was Domus, and he's wearing a mask not to hurt himself. So it was actually the first cover of the magazine, and we put the rider of the horse, I don't know how we say that, rider of the horse, on the cover. And this principle, we use this principle for all the issue after that. So we cover the cover, we try to create also this erotic moment that you buy a magazine and you have to open the foil to discover the cover. This was, for example, regarding the Olympic Games in China, about the human rights. We put the fireworks on top, and on the back the reality of the human rights, try to display that. And it was interesting because in the beginning of our job for Domus, we commissioned the photographer, or we buy pictures, and we were, after a few months, quite frustrated because we had the feeling, hey, why are we commissioning people if we could do it on ourselves? So we decided to shot the cover as well. We were not paid for that. which was a real pain in the ass because we had a lot of costs. We had to organize models, to organize studio, a photographer for 2 days. Still, we decided to do it. Here is an example. It was regarding the financial crisis with Lincoln printed in silver on the foil and the picture of the cover regarding the financial crisis. And here we worked with a photographer, a friend of us from Berlin, and so on. Okay, the one big problem with this black background cover was that in the kiosk, every month you have a magazine, and the magazine are normally covered like that, right? So you just see the top of the magazine. It was a big problem that the readers couldn't really make a difference between the magazine. That's why we changed the color after a few months as well. It's like every month we had another color. Here with foil, we worked with typography. We changed also the concept. We cover the cover, but with typography this time, as you can see here. And then between one issue and the next, we had really strong colors to make it different in the kiosk. So as I told you, we organized shooting. Here, as you can see, this is the result. So we had to make castings. It was also for us something new. Of course, we already made photos for our sketches, but we never worked as art director in this case. We even make the photos ourselves, as you can see here in our studio, and with a photographer, also a friend of us. This was for this cover here. And also, we were also commissioned by Domus to design the intersections, which were the supplementary content pages. And here, this is one example we did for the Web 2.0 topic. The magazine branch, the magazine media branch is in big troubles right now, because of the development of the iPads, the mobile phones, smartphones, the internet. The Web 2.0 is expanding and offering always more and more possibilities. So that it was important for Domus also to make a statement regarding that. For us as designer, it was also very important to make a statement in terms of production and try to understand how can we add some more value to the printed matter, to the magazine, to the printed form. So we worked here with an illustrator. This is Tobias Kapczyk. We asked him to make 2 portraits of 2 Web 2.0 users, and we cut them and we spread them into the layer so that you can recognize them. And the only possibility to recognize them is that you have to fold the issue to be able to recognize the portrait. And it was also something we wanted to create because we worked with 2 spot covers with a different paper, and we wanted also to try to show to explain also not just through the text, but also through the formal solution, also that there is a huge potential in working with printed matter and working with magazines. So we worked also so that there were no explanation how to fold the magazine in the magazine, but it was on YouTube. So we worked also with the web situation, and we asked the reader to go on YouTube to watch the way how to fold the magazine. You can see here the result of the Miss Web 2.0. If you have questions, please ask. I know I lost my... So this is the 2 portraits, and the big issue was actually to create an object out of the magazine. But we were also commissioned sometimes to illustrate the magazine. As you can see here, this is a story we made for the Sound and Mobile 2009, I think. It was regarding the financial crisis. So we made pictures also which appears in the magazine. You get a carte blanche from the editorial staff stuff. And these all are part of our team. The trainee had to do the models because we had no money at all. This is the story after this one. So here we displayed the quotes of the text on the street, and then on the next issue we displayed the pictures of the street. And as you can see here, we put the pictures on billboards, and we organized a demonstration on the street, and we document that, which were then in the magazine as a visual story. Oh, this is the comment. But we are not just. We have also really a small budget project. This is, for example, for a gallery space in Berlin. There also he had like no money at all to be able to have a corporate design, and he didn't have the money to pay for a logo. So we decided to work with typography again and try to create a strong visual language just through typography. As you can see here, this is the poster of the exhibition, and every exhibition gets a new typographic system. And just based on that, as you can see here, actually in this poster you have already the next exhibition hidden behind. As you can see, the font is split on 2 layers, and you have the background layers, which is already there on the format, and then from time to time we print the second layer on the top for each exhibition. As you can see here, this is still the same background but another content. This is another story. We are also, of course, working for institutions as a classical graphic design. We are also working for museums in Switzerland. But this is also something which is very important. I forgot to say, but in Berlin, it's very cheap to live in Berlin. It's very cheap to have an office. It's very cheap to go out. It's very cheap to get drunk. But it's not. You pay really, really bad. And this is also something you have to take into consideration. That actually you can say that you are paid 30% less in Berlin than in another city. Of course, you're paying 30% less rent, but you are paid less as well. So for us, it was also important to have clients, like we had Domus in Milano. It was also important to be based in Berlin, but to be able to make our own project, but also to have clients. But because we were Swiss with Thibault, we also tried to keep our connection in Switzerland, and we're working now for the 2 museums in Switzerland, where we made, this is also one poster about the connection between art and industry. We printed this poster with real wood letters, and there were 2 exhibitions connected to each other. This was one exhibition in one museum, and there was another exhibition in another city, in another museum, treating about the same topic. So we made 2 posters, which were actually on the street at the same time. This is another poster for the same museum. Here, for example, we are working also with I forgot to say that for Domus we work with a designer, with Nicolas, which is a font designer, type designer from Switzerland. Here in this case we work also with Emmanuel, which is also, he is also a type designer from Switzerland. The good thing is, in working with photographers, illustrators, typographers, the good thing is that you can have access to fonts which are not on the market. And you can use this font and test them in doing posters. And it's very good also for the type designer, because for him it's advertising, and for you it's also the possibility of having the opportunity to show new typography or new typefaces which are not on the market as well. This is an interesting poster. This is, as you remember this poster before with the industry. the museum where the second industry exhibition were taking place were closed for renovation. And they asked us to make a poster to tell that the museum is closed, which is a very strange commission for a designer to do something, to promote something which is closed. So we take the old poster, the last poster we made about the industry, we still print it in white and we let some space free, and we still printed a second color on top. And to say this is not a poster, and here it's written that the museum is closed. And we won the German prize for the best poster 2008. And just maybe, yeah, approaching the end finally, but we'll just also try to explain also that we are working because we had this, we are between several, we are not just graphic designers, we are not photographers, we are not typographers, we are not journalists, we are a little bit of everything. We are trying to stage content within a format. We try, for us, the main important thing in design is the content. So we always try to deal with specific content and try to find the better formal solution for this content. And so we are also asked, because of our experience, that we are also asked to work on projects like this project, for example. It was a proposition from an artist and architect group from Beirut to make a guidebook about Beirut. They make a proposition in Holland and they get the subvention and money from a Dutch institution. And the Dutch institution worked together with the publishing house of Podium. It's also an architecture magazine in the Netherlands. And they asked us, because we worked for the Roots in the past, they asked us if we would like to coach the project, actually. And it was very interesting. We were not the designer, we were not the editor, we were just coaching the project from the distance, because the design was made in the Lebanon by Lebanese graphic designers, and the content were also produced by Lebanese journalists and artists and architects, but put it together in the Netherlands. And they asked us just to be able to coach the project to try to make possible that the book find also a good position in the bookshop in Europe. So we worked with this team. We went also to Beirut, which was also for us a great opportunity. We had also the opportunity to shoot our own photos there, our own perception of the city, which were published in the book after. It was not planned, but this is something we proposed to them also. As you can see here, some photos we shot on site were published in the book. And we just try to work like a music director and try to be sure that all the actors of the, all the people working on the book are working in a good direction to be able to produce the right photos at the end. This is something we've made in Milano as well. This was a great project. We had the opportunity to work with the Society Foundation. It was also a very, very long project. We worked 9 months on this project. We were asked from the Society Foundation to stage their 6 years of history of contemporary art exhibition. They organized here in Milano in open space. Probably you know the exhibition of the Society Foundation. I don't have to explain much about that, but the main problem for them was to be able to find a solution. How? Well, it was not a problem. It was a design task as well. Not just to find the right font and to find the right paper and to find the right format, but also to understand how to stage the content within the book to try to tell the story. And this is how we work with them. This is just a few pictures to remember you the project they organized here in the open spaces. So it's art in public space in Milano. And It was interesting because it was not just the story of one artist exhibiting in an open or public space in Milano, but it was also the story of the building. It was the story of the art exhibition in the building. It was the story of the art exhibition. It was the story of the artist. It was a lot of things to tell at the same time. So we created also a layout which allowed us to tell different stories within the same format. As you can see here, different stories seen in the same grid. Luckily, we won also a prize, the Federico Prize. We are very lucky about that because it was also a recognition also here in Italy for this work at the end of Milano, where all the exhibition were taking place. Oh, this is a exhibition from the publishing house. Okay, you know this guy, and this is Roberta from the Trussani Foundation, which coordinate the project with us. Okay, this is another book project. I can't tell you a lot about this project, but here again, this is for Wirkhäuser. We are working also for Wirkhäuser Verlag exactly the same way. You have an author writing texts and developing a discourse about a certain topic, and the publishing house is asking us to stage the content within the book and try to find a way together with the authors to how to deal with the drawings, with the mappings, with the archive pictures and document pictures. We introduced illustration also in the architecture book. It was extremely criticized because the architects were really pissed off because they say, I'm looking much better than this picture. But it was very interesting to have the opportunity also to add some more elements into the book. And here, what was very particular is the cover of the book. We decided to not publish any architecture because this is a book about the real title is the design manual for revitalizing existing buildings. So you have old buildings and architects have to, or this is one big task and big topic in the architecture nowadays, is to work with the actual buildings and to try to either renovate the building or create something new out of it. There is a lot of books about this topic in the bookshop, so we wanted to create something which is not representing the topic on the cover, but try to find another way to deal with the topic. So we decided to build, here, we decided to create a typography with two sides, because the title of the book was Old and New. Auf Deutsch alt und neu. It was good because it was 3 letters, and we can play with two directions. And we built these 3D letters. We were, of course, not paid for that. It was not our. They just asked for a cover, and we could also take a picture of the content and put it on the cover. But we decided to do it because for us it was also very important to try to create also through the cover that if the book is lying there on the bookshelf, that it's really popping out of from the mass of the book which are used. So here are the letters. They are built like an architecture model, construction model, that we photograph at our office, create cover, old and new, alt and neu in German. And these are the 2 covers of the book. And of course, we have the covers and we have the back of the book as well. And I think it will also, we were very happy that the publishing house trusts us to do that, to make an architecture book without any architecture on the cover. And I think I must say big respect for that. To let us do that. This was a few designers whose fields. This is the photographer, Michel, and this is 2 ladies, designers with the letters. There is the last thing I want to tell you really quickly, because of course we're working for a commission project. This kind of books are also, of course, this is how we earn our money. This is how we lose our money. And in between there is this product. And this is something also because we made the piece etc. Because we've made this kind of project also and work as a designer with a certain attitude, we were asked from Reporter Without Borders, which are fighting for the media right, the rights of expression and the right of journalism worldwide. We were asked from the German section to redesign their magazine. This is how it was looking like at the beginning, a typical ugly photo book, what I described before. And it's not a critique about this kind of books, it's just, in my opinion, we can do much more with photography, with a layout and with typography than just displaying the photography like that. Because actually everything gets the same feeling, everything gets the same distance. And what we wanted is create something different. And I just show you some pictures we had to work with. And this is, for example, during the revolution in Iran after the votes. The Green Revolution in Iran. And the thing is that the Iranian government kicked out all the journalists from the country so that nobody could document that. And the only documentation of these events were taking place on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube. And it's very interesting for Reporters Without Borders, which are fighting for the right of journalists, the right of the reporter to be able to report something in a region, that actually all the picture came from not photographers at all, it came from the citizens. So they decided to portray and to present these pictures which were taken directly from the internet. This is the girl who dies during the revolution. And if you're working with such pictures, this is another story from Russia, a journalist who was killed in front of his house. This is a story in Mexico about the drug mafia in Mexico. If you have such pictures, you can't be neutral. You have to find a way how to stage this picture the best as possible in the format. And for us, this is also a incredible story from Palestine, where you see the bomb that's falling into the crowd and the explosion. And if you're working with such pictures, you have to take a certain distance, of course, and this is the picture which were published in the magazine, and this is how we work, just also to explain you how it's happened. This is Barbara Strauss, she's the chief editor of the magazine. So we have all the pictures in documents, and we try to create the story within the magazine with her together. And the strange thing is that you have this hard story, this hard picture, but still we are in our daily business, and this is the way also we work in the office. Also try to combine our daily work with the gravity of topic. This is the story of the cover. This is a story from Iran. Once again, this is a censored picture. This is from Spiegel, because you can buy Spiegel in Iran. Spiegel is a German news magazine. You can buy Spiegel, but they censored the décolleté of Penelope Cruz. And it's a beautiful picture, actually. It's because I think the guy who made the censure had also his own way of designing the censure, because it looked like almost like fashion. And this is a story we wanted to put in the magazine as well. And we wanted, of course, to have this picture on the cover. The idea was actually to show the original picture on the cover and to have the cover image in the magazine. This was the first cover we made, and we had all the authorization of everybody, even from the photographer, but we had to wait from the authorization of Penelope, which take like days and days to answer. So that became always shorter. We had to print, and at the last moment we had to change the cover. And we decided to put this picture on the cover for the issue, and that's also what was printed. But the bad thing is that actually Penelope sent us an SMS during the printing process. We were in front of the machine, taking this out of the machine, and she said, yeah, you can print my picture. But it was a pity, and we couldn't do it. And this is also what we changed. We created a new binding. We put the Article 19 of the human rights on the front as a first statement. As you can see, we created also another binding, also to create something more luxurious. And we separate, once again, the content. We make the first part, which is dedicated to the news, what's happened around the world. As you can see, you have also data visualized into the format. These data are numbers or information about the situation of the human rights, the situation about the press freedom in these countries. That you can see here in the detail. And of course, we work also, or this is one spread we had at the beginning, where you have all the countries from the world, and also all the events from last year. As you can see, one blogger was killed last year. 76 journalists were killed last year as well. And this information, we put them also into a graphic, and you can see here the list of the countries around the world on the ranking list of Reporters Without Borders. As you can see, Denmark is on top of the list, which means they are really open-minded and they let a lot of the press freedom. USA placed before. Italy is really bad, but you know it already. But you have even better countries like Eritrea, North Korea, Iran, China. And this is the countries in red were presented in the magazine on the back. This is how we display the stories, the classical photo magazine, but also like trying to expand pictures and put text and pictures on the same page. This is the new issue, which is out since yesterday. It's very new, but built exactly on the same structure. I think I will stop to speak. One last information before the questions, if you have some. We are organizing, because we are teachers as well, and because we are teaching in universities, we are organizing our first summer school in August, and we want to work 2 weeks on one topic with several professionals from different sections. We want to work with journalists, with photographers, exactly the same way we are working every day with illustrators, with printers, and we want to produce a publication in 2 weeks about a specific topic. And we are taking 21 students, because we have a specific topic which should be developed by 21 students. And we will produce a publication which will be also distributed by our publishing house. And the deadline was today for the application. But if you send an email, if you're from Milan, I think we will make a small section. It's of course you have to pay. We were also very criticized by that you have to pay to make a summer school. But for us, it's also important that all the students which are participating to the workshop, to the summer school, gets 10 issues of the issue published, that we have a really nice space in Berlin. You get everything is paid, you have experts, you will organize lectures as well, and everything is included in this amount of money, which is 800 euro, which is actually not as much as the other services. But for us, it's not a question of earning money, it's a question of being able to produce something which makes also sense on the market after that. That's it.
I'm very interested about campus magazine because I'm living here, I'm a subscriber of the magazine, I work for the magazine too as a designer. So I made it part of your intersection in things in 2008, I think, in 2009, sorry, I'm very interested in how the work is commissioned. So which was your relation with the publisher and or the editor-in-chief? Which was the budget, and which part, or which kind of ideas survived in the new domes? Ideas of layout or everything survived, so lasted in this.
Nothing survived. Because this is the rule at Domus that every 3, 4, or 5 years the editors change. And now it's Prima, and the new Domus is made by Salvatore Buono, who are friends with us. And we wish them good luck with this magazine. We are very happy that they have the opportunity to do it. And we're also really curious. I didn't see the ECT now. But the thing is that okay, but we can speak about that later. So nothing survived, which is good. Because it's also, I think, very important that the magazine has the opportunity every few years to adapt to the contemporary situation, to develop the discourse, and also formally to develop a new way of displaying the content. The first question was how we were commissioned. It was a really strange story, but it happened. Okay, Flavio Albanese had 12 different agencies to present their work at Domus. And we were one of 12. Some of my friends were also invited. Because, of course, everybody, Berlin is a village, right? And I think there was like three agencies for Berlin. And but the thing is that it was really strange thing because we get a huge package at the office full of magazines of Domus, and I know it. I mean, Domus in Italy is quite cheap, but Domus in Germany it costs like 29 euros or something. It's really expensive, or something I don't know, like between 20 and 30 euros each, depending on the issue. And you get like 10 or 15 copies, like cool, more than that. We can't afford it. It's too expensive. And then I discovered a letter that we were invited to present our work for the redesign of Domus. And I didn't really realize that okay, this must be a joke, or this must be, I don't know, I just put it on the side. And then Domus called me 2 weeks after, did you get our packet? Yes, but is it for real? I'm like, yeah, we really want to invite you. And then, okay, so I will book a flight, I can come tomorrow or something. And I fly to Milano, and then I met Flavio, and he said, I have 1 hour. So we sat in his place, and we discussed about everything, about football, about the quality of the water in Italy, about politics, about Swiss architecture, about a lot of several things. He told me that he bought a new boat, and he wanted to rebuild it. And then he said, oh, the hour is gone, okay, bye-bye, it was nice to meet you. I didn't even speak about the magazine. And then I get back to the office, and I call the office and say, hey, I totally fucked up. I think I forget to speak about that. And Flavio called us, and he called me back. It was actually Christmas, I think, or the day after Christmas, and he said, I would like to work with you because it was the most interesting discussion, or most exciting discussion. And then I understand something also, and this is maybe what you asked for in the beginning, that there is a huge difference between Germany and Italy and Switzerland. In Germany, you have to speak about business, you have to speak about the facts from the first second, and And in Italy, actually, you just speak about life, and you speak about a lot of different things to get to be able to know the person you will work for. And after that, I asked Mario, why did you choose me? And he said, hey, if I have to work several years with somebody, I want to have fun. And I want also to not just have fun, of course, it's very serious, but he wants also to have not just a design, but also a relationship with something which is beyond this fact that we are doing design. And yeah, and the budget, I can't tell you, of course, the exact budget. It was a lot of money for us. Of course, we asked for much more. We didn't get what we asked for. Actually, we did exactly the half of what we asked for. Because we knew that it's a huge work to do that. And so it's also why we hired also a lot of trainees, which were working in the back to develop the font program. They were drawing, test the fonts on pages all the time, so that we were able also to deal with the budget. But I must say it was this budget which was at the end actually not as much as I was thinking. Because if you get the amount of your bank account, then my banker called me and said, there must be an error because you get a lot of money on your bank account. But is there a zero too much? Like, no, it's really, we have a contract. So, then 1 year after, I get another phone call from the tax financial office, like, oh, now we want to see your tax papers. And yeah. So the money we won with donors, we lose it also in taxes. Of course, but at the end, if you split the amount of money we get at the beginning to the ones we work for, and we design also, we made the photos for the covers, but actually it was not a super well made job. Yeah, in general, yeah. No, it was because we worked 2.5 years for that. You can speak a little. No, but it's
constantly, not with the art director of Domus.
The brief of Flavio was you can change everything except the format and the logo. So it was really bright. It was really open, and that's why we decided to focus on some topics. And that's why we decided to focus on some visual decisions. But of course, with Flavio, it was okay. I didn't show the pictures, but as he called me at Christmas and told me that you get the job, I was like, oh fuck, we can't do it. We have to find a solution. And I asked him, I said, okay, if we have to do it, I want to get to know you as soon as possible. And he invited us, Svenima and myself, for 1 week in Vicenza at his place. And we did everything together. We cooked together, we went out together, we discussed about films, photography, again, about art, a lot of things. But we were 1 week at his office, and we had the opportunity to get to know him. And it was for us also very important to create a dialogue with him, to understand firstly what kind of philosophy he got for Domus, what is architecture for him, what should be architecture discourse, which is also two different things. How should be an architecture story working in a magazine? And on the other side, also try to understand his position regarding the contemporary society we are living. And that's why also, and the first proposition we made, it was 2 or 3 weeks after this week in Vicenza, we made the first proposition for the design. And he said, go back to Berlin, it's shitty, I don't want to have that, it's not, he didn't say it's shitty, but he said, you can do better. And I was a little bit shocked because he gave us the freedom to do what we wanted. But he said, this is good, the but you can surely do better. Go back to Berlin, we met next week again. And that, exactly at this moment, we decided to split the chapters, and dissolve the chapters. But if I have to stop it, tell me. But then, because we dissolved these chapters, we had huge troubles with the editors, because they said, oh my God, we have more work. Because we have now not just to think about one story after the other, we have to think about the connection between the stories. And it was even more work also for the editorial staff. And it worked very well in the first issue. It worked less well in the last issue. Because, of course, as you know, the design was made here in Milan. So we developed templates, and they worked with our templates after that. Regarding the art director of those, that also, because Flavio told that we have a carte blanche to design a magazine, and he, as I told before, he's support our decision. As he said that, maybe I tell too much of details, but as he said that we can do better, he didn't say that in front of all the team. He just told me that separately. He said, hey, it's good, but so this is also something I respect, because he also tried to be also very professional in this way. That was also strange for us. I mean, I was 31, 32 years old. Thibaut was 23. At the first meeting, as we were there, Flavio asked Thibaut, did your mother know that you're here? So, just to understand the strange situation, that we were super young, and we were working with an art director which is not much older, but still a little bit older than we are, and that these people had to trust us to do that. So I have also a huge respect for the relationship we had also with designers. Of course, it was not every day easy, and we were also sometimes very pissed off because they didn't respect our rules, but on the other side, it is also how our magazine is living. And the nice thing, comparing to a book, the beautiful thing with the magazine is that next month will be better, or you can change something, which is not the case for a book.
Can I ask you, have you made by your own the cover of Data Flow #1?
If you did it?
Yeah.
No, this is Andrea. What was the last name? My God, this is an Italian photographer. I have to check, but
because I've always been interested in how was it made.
this is an artwork from Andrea Galvani. He's a great photographer, and we get a lot of troubles also because of the cover, because we didn't want to show. Actually, we have this. We have data flow, data visualization in graphic design. We are not showing any data because here this is in fact data. This is an art work, but this is data. But the first data flow was no data at all. It was just an aesthetic of data visualization. And we were also very happy that the publishing house trusted us to do that, but certainly even more happy that the photographer accepted to put his artwork on a book about graphic design, about data visualization, which had nothing to do with his work actually, directly. And maybe this is also a parallel to this kind of cover, that we always try to challenge the reader also. If you're going into the bookshop, that it's actually also one information. This is really strange. If you're doing a book, okay, these books are published in October in Germany. It means they are going in print in August. It means that the design is made between May and July. But the strange thing is that you have to develop the cover, the cover design. Actually in January, because they need it for the website and for the program for Amazon. So this is strange because you're designing the cover without even having read any text. So this is also something which is very particular in designing covers, that it's one of the main important things, because the people take the book in the bookshop also because of the cover. And This is extremely important for publishing house and extremely difficult work to do for a designer. One, you don't know exactly the content, and then you have to argue for your ideas also regarding the. And with Andrea Gambani, it was good because he was very open-minded. He said, "Oh, I never thought about that, but why not? Let's try." And he didn't even complain about the technical photo. For me, the most important thing is the content. So, firstly, for me, working as an editor means try to focus on one topic and try to be able to formulate also the text are readable, that it's accessible, that photographs are well chosen, that the journalists are well chosen, that tries to create a dialogue with them, and then the formal the ideas and the solutions come after that. And then we find a column and I have too much text, and I have to cut the text or to change the design. That is the typical problem that you are. But I'm trying always to discuss with different people from the office. Los Logos and Dos Logos, I did it on my own, myself, and I teach you as well. But this work, we did it three people from my office. So we were constantly in discussion. And the nice thing for the book is that we made a really nice typography for the book. We developed everything. We presented, because of course our job is to present the design, not the design, but the sequences of the stories with and the content to the publishing house regularly. But we never presented the typography content. And 3 weeks before the end of the project, we just showed some spread, and the publishing house said, "What kind of type are you using?" No way. And like, oh shit! So we had to change all the raster, all the grid of the blanket of the book, and we even asked a typographer to design it for me, especially for which was in 3 weeks. And in 3 weeks, it was but this is also something we learned, because all this process we learned also a lot about how to communicate an idea to the client. Well, but once again, the challenge to be involved on both sides is that you have to take position. Can I show? Is it possible? Should I change the file in that so that it's looking nicer? Or is the content of the file much more important than the form? First, I tried to give you a clear answer. I think the editor has the last word, and the graphic designer has to adapt. Because the graphic designer is just the person who puts things in a certain form of visual resolution. And I think that the content is working. But the power would stay on. But often some editorial ideas are needing to follow these, and the contrary also. In attitude, for example, we put pictures in the binding, which are disappearing here and appearing like 24 pages after, for example. This is not just a formal decision, but also a tutorial decision. You can tell a story here, start here and end here. Exactly, choose a bridge, which is formally very interesting, also technically, because you print everything went well during printing, but still, it's also a very important editorial tool. In Domus, we create the short pages for the drawings. It was a decision which were based on our view on how how a building should be displayed into a magazine, so that the drawing gets the main attention. But then it was a formal tool to be able to create grammatically within the layout. So actually, if you have a cut, I don't have any notes here, if you have a cut page, you have one spread, the one where the cut page is on top, and so you have actually you have 4 pages instead of 2. And this was then an editorial idea or a content-based idea which leads to a formal solution. You can take a look at the books. So, please don't steal everything. No, just you can take the postcards. No, you can steal the postcards, but not I didn't mention that they are sold out, and these are really our last issue. Oh, but these 2 is our last issue. If you want to buy some, I have them. Really? Yeah, if you want to buy this is the rest.